Amanda Bramble, and I run Ampersand Sustainable Learning Center, which is definitely inspired in part by the Kerr Sustainable Living Center. So Ampersand is an off-grid sustainable learning center where we are demonstrating sustainable solutions, low-tech, appropriate technologies for living in harmony with our environment. And our approach to sustainability is basically looking at our relationship with our resources. So we look at what do we need to live comfortably. We need shelter, we need water, food, energy, a warm home, cooked food. So we look at all of our options for getting those things, and we choose the ones that are least harmful to the environment, and ones that use renewable resources and that are actually regenerative to the land. So we have our interns and we have classes and events there. We're near Santa Fe, south of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And so we're gathering and experimenting with and updating and demonstrating different sustainable solutions that have been already in the works for many years. So specifically, we're doing natural building. We're doing building with salvage materials and rainwater collection, gray water, using all of our gray water to grow food, permaculture, land restoration, high desert gardening, and of course passive solar design. So here I can explain some of the most important elements of passive solar design through this picture of the construction of one of our main houses. So my husband Andy is here cutting the overhangs of the roof so that the sun will come in those clear story windows in the winter, and then as the sun gets higher, goes higher across the sky in the summer, is shaded. So no sun will come in, and it's because it's an earth-bermed home as well, it's passively cooled that way. The greenhouse has yet to be constructed here, and it is now constructed attached to that beam underneath the clear story windows. So those two windows there are, you can open them, and during the winter they circulate hot air through the home in order to heat our home for the winter. So the hot air rises and goes through that upper window, which would be open during the day in the winter, and goes into the home, displaces air, and the cooler air comes out through that sliding glass door into the greenhouse. So the natural circulation is constantly heating the home. And this is our gray water system in the greenhouse under construction. So all the gray water from the house, so what comes down the sinks and the showers, goes into this system. And it's a pumice wick, so it's a reservoir of pumice wrapped with landscaping fabric. The water gets distributed somewhat evenly through the chamber, and then plants have been planted around it. And so that's what it looks like now, and all of this kale and chard and all different perennial and annual food is, the roots are coming down and sucking the gray water out of that reservoir, and we have food all year round in our greenhouse. And it's a great place for starting seeds for growing outside during the summer. Of course, we use the solar wall oven, which is Barbara Kerr's invention, and the great thing about it is that it has a door in the back, so you don't have to open the glass and lose all your heat to access the food, and you can install it into the south wall of your house so you can get your food without having to go outside, which Barbara has one, and so do I. I'll show you a picture in a minute. We have 3 of these that we use for our interns, and we cook primarily in the solar ovens because most of the time the sun is shining. And we teach about how to make them as well. And I love this picture because it shows the power of solar cooking really well. You can see that it's winter, there's snow on the ground. Now this is a bunch of squash that's been cooked in a jar that was painted dark for the most part. So it's steaming, you can see the steam coming out, but the sky is not blue, is it? Obviously we had some sun that day, but not even a full day of sun because the clouds have come and it's wintertime, and still all of this squash was cooked in the winter for dinner. Here's our solar wall oven installed on the south wall of our greenhouse, which is attached to our house. So in the winter we just go into the greenhouse to access our cooking food. And we have several different kinds of solar water heaters. This is the most simple one, which Barbara also has at her place, is a batch style water heater. And it's a tank inside of a box, much like a solar oven. We're experimenting, taking data on how hot this one gets, and we're about to put a selective surface on it, which will increase the heat. We work with Steve Baer, who's also another passive solar inventor, and he's teaching a workshop here at Ampersand. This is a selective surface hot water heater that he imports from Switzerland, and we use it a little bit differently than how they're meant to be used, but it works great under low pressure situations. Here's how it looks installed on our house. So the tank is above on the inside of the house, so it's protected from the cold and it's well insulated. So basically this is like a very thin pillow, and when the sun heats the water inside of this pillow, this is black chrome covered, and the heat will rise, and it goes naturally up the tube that's rising up into the tank. It displaces the colder water in the tank from a tube that's coming out the bottom and comes back into the bottom of the panel. So it's constantly thermosiphoning naturally whenever the sun is shining, and it's making the water hotter and hotter throughout the day. Now, often you have to deal with a heat exchanger and glycol solution for solar water heating in freezing temperatures, because when water freezes it expands and it can break your tubing and such. But this, under low pressures, under 32 psi, it can freeze and not break. So that's one of the beauties of this system, because so you see the fins, the fins that are reflective on the tubing, and that's just radiator tube that's used for cars. So this will freeze solid in the winter at night. The sun comes up in the morning, and then those fins reflect the sun onto the black and help it thaw out, and then it thaws out and it starts going again. Meanwhile, inside the house, there's the tank with the hot water. So here's a place where this is our outdoor shower, and it's the same system, so you can really easily see all of the components of the system. The white tank on top is the feed, so it's gravity fed. It goes down into this black panel at the bottom, and that's just a plastic panel, and we disconnect that in the winter because we don't want outdoor showers. And then it naturally, the heat rises up into that blue tank, and it circulates from the blue tank into the panel, constantly heating it hotter. This is our passive solar cold frame for growing food during the winter. And as you can see, it's snowy out, and it's got the same passive solar techniques of thermal mass. So along the back side, there's water bottles that are all against the north side, and so the sun hits those water bottles and absorbs that energy, and then the lid gets closed at night and holds the stable temperature in there for the lettuce to grow. It's also sunken into the ground, and it has insulation around it. But the very exciting thing about this is the passive solar cold frame tender. So this is basically a technique for, now you have to open your cold frame during the day in the winter, or else it'll become a solar oven and you'll cook all your growing vegetables. So this is a way that the sun does it by itself through an appropriate technology. So first of all, you have to imagine this picture that this vinegar jug is placed here on the counterweight of, that's the counterweight on the cold frame opener. So that's where it usually is. So when the sun comes up over our hill in the morning, it hits that blue jug, pressurizes it, and the pressure in there, the only place for the water to go, the only place for the pressure to go is up that tube, and it sends water, which is only at the bottom here. The pressure sends water up that tube and into the vinegar jug. And so that's the counterweight on the back. So when water when there's more water in there, there's more weight, and it just opens the cold frame for us. And then it's a beautiful technology that could be used for so many things. And so in the evening, when the sun goes back down over the hill, it sucks it right back in, and we don't have to worry about opening and closing our cold frame or being home in time or being up in time. Also, the cold frame's a great place in the summer for growing kale. It's set into the ground, and we put the shade over it, so it grows nice vegetables then as well. And Barbara has been an inspiration for us in all of our work, so we're grateful.
Thank you.